50 Cent is losing a beef. Let that satisfy in your mind for a second. The man who buried Ja Rule, who humiliated Rick Ross, who turned Diddy into a punchline before the feds ever showed up. That 50 Cent is getting cooked right now. T.I and his sons are dropping diss track after diss track. Graves are being posted, mothers are being dragged out of the date, and 50 Cent, the greatest troll in rap history, has gone silent. The internet cannot believe what it's watching unfold. Everybody thought they knew how a 50 Cent beef goes. Somebody says something slick. 50 posts a meme. Maybe 2. The other person spirals. 50 laughs. The internet crowns him. Rinse and repeat. That's been the playbook for 20 years. Nobody beats 50 Cent at his own game. That was the version everyone repeated. That was the unwritten law of hip-hop. But now, T.I and his camp have flipped the entire script. Diss tracks are flying. Court documents are surfacing. Allegations nobody saw coming are getting plastered across the internet. And for the first time in maybe his entire career, people are saying 50 Cent doesn't know how to respond. The whole narrative is twisting in real time, and folks are watching like it's a season finale nobody expected. Let me break this whole thing down from the beginning. Because this didn't start last week. This didn't start last month. This beef has roots going back almost 2 decades. And what's happening right now is the eruption of something that's been simmering underneath the surface for years. Let's set the stage. 50 Cent Curtis Jackson. Living rap legend. The man who dropped Get Rich or Die Trying and literally changed the sound of an entire era. The man who had a bulletproof career, literally and figuratively. 9 shots didn't stop him. Ja Rule couldn't stop him. The game couldn't stop him. Rick Ross tried. Didn't work. Even Diddy caught strays for years and couldn't do a thing about it. But here's the thing people forget about 50. He hasn't really been a rapper in a long time. Not in the traditional sense. His power now lives on Instagram. Memes. Trolling. He turned social media into a weapon before most people even understood what that meant. He doesn't write bars anymore. He writes captions. And for a long time, that was enough. Now let's talk about T.I. Clifford Harris, the self-proclaimed king of the South. And honestly, that title isn't just talk. This is the man who helped define trap music. Not the watered-down version you hear today, the original blueprint. Albums like Trap Music, Urban Legend, King. Those records shaped an entire generation of Southern hip-hop. Atlanta owes a debt to T.I that can never fully be repaid. So you've got 2 titans. 2 completely different lanes. One from Queens, one from Atlanta. And for most of their careers, they were cool. Not best friends, but definitely not enemies. You can find footage of them together at the 2007 Screamfest, sharing a stage with Jay-Z, Kanye West, Diddy. Imagine that lineup. That was a different era. At the 2007 BET Awards, they were both in the building. Friendly vibes. No tension. Just 2 legends coexisting in the same space. 50 even did that legendary move where he walked through the crowd during his performance, right past rappers he was beefing with. T.I wasn't one of them. They were good. But then, a crack appeared. A small one. The kind you barely notice at first. In 2007, T.I got arrested on federal weapons charges. This wasn't small-time stuff. An illegal arms dealer got busted in Atlanta and pointed the finger directly at T.I. When they arrested him, they found 3 firearms in his vehicle. One of them was loaded, sitting right next to the driver's seat. Given T.I.'s prior record, people expected him to go away for a long time. Years, potentially. But then something surprising happened. T.I took a deal, and the deal was remarkably lenient. 1 year, a fine, community service, 4 federal weapons charges with a prior record. People noticed. The streets noticed. And 50 Cent definitely noticed. Shortly after, the second G-Unit album Terminate on Sight dropped. And on that album, there's a track called You So Tough. And listen to what 50 raps. He says something along the lines of, "What kind of math is this? You get caught with 10 machine guns and only get 12 months. Don't talk to me. I got the best lawyers money can buy. They told me they could have gotten 9 to 10 years out of that case. I asked, how does someone walk away that easy? And they told me, either you shut your mouth, or you turn into a rat and eat the cheese." Now, 50 never said T.I.'s name. Not once. And when he got asked about it in interviews, he played coy. Nah, that's not a diss. If it was a diss, I'd say so. But everybody knew. The timing, the details, the specifics about weapons charges and light sentences. It was aimed directly at T.I, and 50 was daring anyone to connect the dots. And that's a classic 50 move. A sneak diss, which is actually unusual for him. 50 Cent is normally the most direct person in any room. He'll say your name, your mother's name, your address. But with T.I, he kept it just vague enough to maintain plausible deniability while making sure the entire world knew exactly who he was talking about. T.I responded in an interview with what sounded like respect. He basically said, "Look, 50 is a straight-up guy. If he meant me, he would have said my name." Smart play. Didn't take the bait. Didn't escalate. The beef fizzled before it even really started. But the seed was planted. Now let's get into the history, because this is where everything starts clicking. And I need you to understand the full picture before we get to what's happening right now. T.I.'s legal problems didn't end with that weapons case. Not even close. The man was in and out of the system for years. He'd get released. Things would be good for a minute, and then something would pull him back. In 2011, just 6 months after getting out from one sentence, he got popped again. This time it was a drug charge. And boom, 11 more months behind bars. And 50 Cent, who apparently was watching T.I.'s every move like a hawk, couldn't resist commenting. But he didn't go after T.I. directly this time. He went somewhere way more personal. 50 publicly asked, on the internet, for everyone to see, why T.I.'s wife, Tiny, didn't take the charges for him. Why didn't she claim the drugs were hers so her husband wouldn't have to go back to prison? Think about that for a second. That's not rap beef. That's not even trolling. That's reaching into somebody's marriage and questioning their family dynamics in front of millions of people. That's a different kind of violation. And T.I. wasn't having it. He went on record at a major radio station and said something to the effect of, "I'm telling 50 Cent and everybody else right now, we're not going to discuss what my wife should or shouldn't have done. I am the only person in my family who has ever seen the inside of a cell. And I believe that any man who hides behind his woman is a coward." That's a man drawing a line. Clearly, firmly, with zero ambiguity. The beautiful thing is, that particular situation actually got resolved. Reportedly, a single phone call between the two of them squashed it. 50 confirmed it in an interview. And after that, things seemed genuinely fine. They were seen together. There was talk of collaboration. The chapter appeared closed. But here's what people don't understand about beefs with 50 Cent. Nothing is ever truly closed. He files things away. He remembers. And he waits. Fast forward to 2020. The world is locked down. Everybody's at home. And the Versus phenomenon explodes. For those who don't know, Versus was this incredible format where two artists would go head-to-head, playing their biggest hits, and the internet would decide who had the better catalog. It gave us legendary moments. DMX versus Snoop Dogg, Dipset versus The Lox, Jeezy versus Gucci Mane. If you haven't watched those, stop what you're doing after this video and go experience them. Seriously, the Dipset versus Lox battle alone. When Jadakiss performed New York, the energy was something you could feel through a screen. And T.I. wanted that energy. He publicly challenged 50 Cent to a Versus, not in a disrespectful way, in a competitive, let's give the fans a show kind of way. He started posting on Instagram multiple times. He called Kevin Hart, who shares a birthday with 50, and tried to get Kevin to relay the message. He even said he'd charter a private jet to fly to New York and show up at 50's birthday party to make it happen. But then T.I. claimed he was told he wasn't welcome at the party. And that's where things got interesting, because T.I. was pushing hard. Video after video, post after post. My discography is better. Let's do this for the culture. The fans want it. He was campaigning like his life depended on it. 50 Cent barely responded. A tweet here, a post there, and then he did what 50 does best. He posted that old Crime Stoppers clip. For context, T.I. had done a Crime Stoppers PSA years earlier, encouraging people to cooperate with authorities. Reports say he was legally required to do it as part of one of his plea deals. But the optics of a rapper appearing in a Crime Stoppers commercial in hip-hop culture, that's devastating. And 50 knew exactly what he was doing by resurfacing it. 50 also mentioned he'd been playing You So Tough on repeat. That same sneak diss track from 2008. He was reaching back into the archives, pulling out old wounds and reopening them for a new audience. And here's the part that makes this whole saga even more complicated. T.I. later claimed, on the $1 million worth of game podcast that the versus was actually agreed upon behind the scenes. Both camps had supposedly said yes. T.I.'s job was to build the hype publicly, and 50 was supposed to eventually accept. But according to T.I., 50 just never held up his end, ghosted the whole plan, left T.I. out there looking like he was begging for attention. Now we only have T.I.'s side of this story. 50 has never confirmed or denied it. But if it's true, if 50 really did agree to a versus and then backed out while letting T.I. do all the public promotion, that's cold. That's calculated. That's the kind of psychological warfare 50 Cent has built his entire reputation on. And honestly, from a business perspective, it makes sense for 50. Why would he do a versus? He's already moved beyond music. The man built a television empire. Power, BMF, entire production companies. He reportedly constructed a massive headquarters for his media operations. He doesn't need a rap battle to validate his legacy. But T.I. could have used that platform. And 50 knew it. And maybe, that's exactly why he said no. But here's the part that really hits different. And I need everyone to understand why this beef crossed a line that most beefs never cross. 50 Cent's mother, Sabrina Jackson, died when 50 was 8 years old. 8. A child. She perished in a house fire. That's not rap lore. That's not a storyline. That's a little boy losing his mother in one of the most horrifying ways imaginable. 50 Cent has carried that pain his entire life. He's spoken about it. He's rapped about it. It shaped everything about who he became. The hardness, the fearlessness, the refusal to show vulnerability. When you lose your mother at 8 years old to a fire, that changes the chemical composition of your soul. And that's the wound T.I.'s camp decided to rip open. When 50 posted unflattering pictures of T.I.'s wife, Tiny, which was already way over the line, T.I.'s son, King Harris, responded. And he didn't just respond. He went nuclear. King Harris posted a message telling 50 Cent to dig up his mother's grave, to go look at her and see if she's prettier than Tiny. He told a man to dig up his dead mother. Let that sit with you. Then it got worse. King Harris posted a photograph of 50 Cent's mother's actual gravestone on social media. The headstone, the final resting place of a woman who burned alive. Posted like it was a meme. Posted like it was content. And then the diss track. T.I.'s sons released a song called Miss Jackson, a play on 50's birth name, Curtis Jackson, and his mother's last name. The cover art for this track was a burning house. A burning house, as a reference to how 50 Cent's mother died at age 8 in a fire. There's beef. There's disrespect. And then there's whatever this is. This is a place most people wouldn't go in their darkest, most hateful moments. And it was put on the internet for millions of people to consume as entertainment. King Harris also went further. He posted old footage of 50 Cent's assault case, a situation where 50 allegedly got physical with multiple women at an event. Uncomfortable photos were shared. Court documents were circulated. Everything in 50's past that could be weaponized was being pulled out and thrown at the wall. And through all of this, you have to remember, King Harris is young. Part of that new generation that grew up on drill music and internet warfare, where nothing is sacred and everything is content. He doesn't have the context of what words like those can set in motion, not just for him, but for his entire family. In the old days, the kind of things being said in this beef had consequences that went far beyond Instagram. And that's what makes this whole situation so unsettling. The rules of engagement have changed, and nobody knows where the new boundaries are, because it seems like there aren't any. Now this is where things spiral completely out of control. After 50 Cent posted those pictures of Tiny, after the grave comments, after the gravestone photo, T.I. stopped talking and started recording. And when T.I. picks up a microphone with genuine anger behind it, that man can still rap. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. The first diss track was called The Right One, and it had bars, real bars. T.I. went at 50 for abandoning the black community, for catering to white audiences, for becoming more of a brand than a man. He basically said, "You've been out here making TV shows and memes while your people needed you to stand for something." That's a deep cut, because it challenges 50's identity at its core. Is he still a rapper? Is he still connected to the culture that made him? Or has he become something else entirely? And then came Bully, the second diss track, harder, more personal. more direct. And here's what's interesting. After Bully dropped, 50 Cent quietly went back and deleted several of his Instagram posts. The ones mocking Tiny, the ones targeting T.I.'s family, gone, scrubbed. Which tells you something. That tells you T.I. touched a nerve. Because 50 Cent does not delete posts. That man has kept up some of the most outrageous content in social media history. But T.I. made him flinch. Then came Lessons, a third diss track. And in this one, T.I. delivered what might be the most cutting line of the entire beef. He rapped, "You posted my wife on your page. I told you I don't make memes. I make music." That right there. That's the whole beef summarized in 2 bars. Because T.I. is doing what rappers are supposed to do in a beef, making music, channeling anger into art, creating something. Meanwhile, 50 is posting pictures and trolling on social media like it's 2015. And for the first time, that approach is making him look small. T.I. also did something clever in Lessons. He worked in references to 50 Cent's own classic songs, flipped them, used 50's legacy against him. It's the kind of lyrical craftsmanship that reminds you T.I. isn't just some trap rapper who got lucky. The man is skilled. He knows how to construct a narrative in a song, and he aimed every word like a guided missile. But then, the court documents surfaced, and this is where the entire beef shifted to another dimension. King Harris posted what appeared to be official legal documents alleging that 50 Cent cooperated with law enforcement. According to these documents, police received an anonymous tip connected to an unsolved murder. The call was traced back to a phone associated with 50 Cent, and when investigators followed up, 50 allegedly provided information, statement, pointing them toward a suspect. The murder in question involves Lodi Mac. For those who don't know the history, Lodi Mac was closely associated with G-Unit. He was part of 50's inner circle. Lodi Mac reportedly had an altercation with Jimmy Henchman's teenage son, physically struck him. For that, Lodi Mac did time. And just weeks after his release from prison, he was killed. The investigation eventually led back to Jimmy Henchman, who was convicted of ordering the hit. And Jimmy Henchman is a figure who casts a long, dark shadow over hip-hop history. This is the same man widely believed to have orchestrated the Quad Studios shooting in 1994, the one where Tupac Shakur was shot 5 times in the lobby. Jimmy Henchman was also the manager of the game during the game's war with G-Unit, which is partly why Lodi Mac targeted his son in the first place. According to the documents King Harris posted, 50 Cent told investigators that Jimmy Henchman was behind Lodi Mac's murder, that he feared for his own life, that money, or rather, drugs, which on the streets function as currency, had been put on Lodi Mac's head. Now, here's where I have to be very clear. The authenticity of these documents has not been independently verified. We're talking about papers posted on Instagram by a young man in the middle of an active beef. That is not a court filing. That is not a journalistic source. So take it with the appropriate amount of skepticism. But the damage is in the allegation itself. In hip-hop, the word snitch carries a weight that can sink careers. It doesn't matter if the documents are real or fake. Once the accusation is out there, it lives forever. It becomes part of the narrative. People screenshot it. They share it. They build entire conspiracy theories around it. And now 50 Cent, the man who posted a Crime Stoppers clip to imply T.I. was a rat, is dealing with his own cooperation allegations. The irony is almost too perfect. Although, there are details that complicate the snitching narrative. Reports have surfaced over the years that 50 Cent allegedly sent a dead rat to Jimmy Henchman's doorstep. An actual dead rat. Which would be a strange thing to do if you were secretly cooperating with law enforcement against the same person. That's not the behavior of someone trying to stay hidden. That's a declaration of war. So what's the truth? Honestly, nobody outside of those courtrooms and police stations knows for certain. But the accusation is out there now. And in this beef, it's being wielded like a nuclear weapon. Now let's zoom out for a second and talk about the bigger picture of 50 Cent's beef history. Because understanding how 50 operates in conflict is essential to understanding why this particular beef is hitting so different. 50 Cent has been in more public feuds than arguably any rapper alive. The Ja Rule beef alone could fill an entire documentary. And for those of you who lived through it, you remember, that was an era where information was scarce. No TikTok, no Twitter, no Instagram. You had to buy DVDs, bootleg DVDs. You had to find some random website in an internet cafe and download clips on a dial-up connection. And because information was so hard to come by, every piece of it felt like gold. Every diss track, every response, every interview clip. It all mattered in a way that's hard to explain to someone who grew up with everything at their fingertips. The Ja Rule beef was entertainment at its highest level. The songs, the backstories, the clue tapes, the radio freestyles. 50 dismantled Ja Rule piece by piece. And by the time it was over, JA's career was functionally finished. That's the power 50 Cent wielded. Then there was the Game. And that beef was different because Game could actually rap. Game dropped maybe 100 diss tracks against G-Unit. Made an entire DVD, released song after song after song. And while 50 won the cultural war, Game got kicked off the label. G-Unit moved on. You can't deny that Game put up a real fight musically. That's what happens when your opponent matches your energy with actual bars. The Rick Ross beef might be the most infamous for one particular reason. During that feud, 50 Cent obtained and posted an intimate video involving Ross's ex-partner. He didn't just post it, he provided commentary. Like a narrator. That move was so far beyond the line that it resulted in a lawsuit and millions of dollars in damages. But the message it sent was clear. 50 Cent will go places nobody else will go. There are no rules. There are no boundaries. If you come for him, he will find the most humiliating, the most personal, the most devastating thing he can possibly use. And he will use it without a moment's hesitation. That reputation is what made 50 untouchable for years. People didn't want to beef with him because the cost was too high. You might win the rap battle, but you'd lose something far more personal in the process. And that's exactly why what T.I is doing right now is so significant. T.I is fighting fire with fire. 50 went after his wife. T.I's camp went after 50's dead mother. 50 posted Crime Stoppers clips. T.I's camp posted alleged snitching documents. Every escalation from 50 has been met with an escalation that matches or exceeds it. And here's the crucial difference. T.I is also making music. Actual diss tracks. With bars. With production. With purpose. While 50 is stuck in his Instagram playbook, T.I is operating on two fronts. He's winning the social media war and the music war. And 50 doesn't seem to have an answer for that combination. Even Rick Ross got involved. When King Harris posted that t-shirt with 50's mother's picture on it, Ross reportedly commented saying he needed that shirt in 3XL. Now, Ross and 50 have their own long, ugly history. So this isn't surprising. But it tells you something about how the hip-hop community is watching this beef. People who've been quietly waiting for someone to humble 50 Cent are starting to circle. And this story is still unfolding. It's still breathing. It's still evolving in real time with way bigger implications than just two rappers exchanging shots on Instagram. What we're really witnessing is a collision of two eras. 50 Cent represents the old guard, the era where your reputation, your street credibility, and your willingness to go further than anyone else was enough to win any conflict. For 20 years, that formula worked. Nobody out-trolled 50. Nobody out-crueled him. Nobody was willing to go as low as he was willing to go. But the game has changed. The generation King Harris belongs to, they don't have the same boundaries. They don't have the same reverence for what came before. They'll post your mother's gravestone and drop a diss track with a burning house on the cover and sleep perfectly fine that night. They grew up in a digital world where everything is content, where shock value is currency, and where the only rule is that there are no rules. Sound familiar? That's literally 50 Cent's philosophy. He pioneered that approach. And now it's being used against him by people who took it further than even he was willing to go. There's something almost poetic about it. The man who said in rap beefs, there are no rules is now in a beef where the absence of rules is working against him. The monster he helped create has turned around and looked him in the eye. But here's the bigger conversation. This beef raises real questions about what we accept as entertainment. Dragging a dead woman, a woman who burned alive, a woman who left behind an 8-year-old boy, into a rap beef in 2026. Is that where we are? Is that what the culture has become? And if we consume it, share it, comment on it, make reaction videos about it, what does that say about us? T.I started this from a place of respect. He wanted a musical competition, a celebration of two legendary catalogs. That's what Versus was built on, mutual respect between artists. But what it's become, this isn't Versus energy. This is something darker. Something that went from playful competition to posting gravestones in a matter of weeks. And 50 Cent bears responsibility for that escalation. He's the one who took it personal first. He's the one who posted pictures mocking T.I.'s wife. He's the one who kept resurfacing the Crime Stoppers footage and courtroom clips. He pushed T.I.'s camp past their breaking point, and when they broke in a way that shocked even the most hardened hip-hop fans. Let's keep it real though. T.I. is also benefiting from this. Reports suggest he has an album on the way, and this beef is generating exactly the kind of attention an independent artist needs in 2026. That's not a conspiracy. That's how the rap game has always worked. Beef sells records. It sold records in the 90s, it sold records in the 2000s, and it sells records now. The difference is that the battlefield has moved from radio and mixtapes to Instagram and TikTok. So where does this end? Because right now, it doesn't look like it's ending anytime soon. 50 Cent has not dropped a diss track. And based on everything we know about where he is in his career, he probably won't. He recently did something clever though. He teased the possibility of a response track, got the entire internet's attention, and then dropped a song for his Power franchise instead. Took all that beef energy and redirected it into promoting his television empire. That's a business move, a smart one, but it's not a rap move. And that's the tension at the heart of this whole thing. 50 Cent the businessman doesn't need to respond. He's bigger than a rap beef. He's got shows, production deals, real estate, a media empire. Responding to T.I. with a diss track would actually be a step backward for 50 Cent the mogul. But 50 Cent the rapper, 50 Cent the legend, the man who built his entire mythology on never backing down from anyone, that version of 50 needs to respond. Because right now, T.I. has 3 diss tracks out. His sons have tracks out. Court documents are floating around the internet. And 50's response has been memes, deleted posts, and a song for a TV show. People online are already declaring T.I. the winner. And honestly, from a purely musical standpoint, how do you argue against it? T.I. showed up with bars. 50 showed up with Instagram posts. In the world of hip-hop, that's not even close. But here's the thing about 50 Cent: underestimate him at your own risk. This is the same man who let the Ja Rule beef simmer for months before dropping back down, and many men in the same album cycle. He plays the long game better than anyone. So maybe he's not responding right now because he's not ready to respond. Or maybe he's already moved past this in a way that T.I. hasn't. Maybe in 50's mind, the best revenge is the empire he's building while T.I. is still chasing rap glory. There's also a wild card nobody is talking about. Someone used AI to generate a 50 Cent response track. And reportedly, it sounds terrifying. It sounds like vintage 50, the hungry 50, the one with the gap in his teeth and the bullet wound still fresh, the one who would look you in your eyes and describe exactly how he'd end you. And the fact that a computer-generated version of 50 Cent sounds more dangerous than current 50 Cent, that might be the most telling detail in this entire saga. The old 50 would have ended this in a week. The new 50 might not end it at all. And that gap between who he was and who he is exactly where T.I. is living rent-free right now. So that's where we are. A beef that started with a friendly versus challenge has devolved into one of the ugliest public feuds in recent hip-hop memory. Graves being posted, dead mothers being mocked, alleged snitching documents circulating, diss tracks with burning houses on the cover, and a living legend who seems, for the first time, unsure of how to fight back. Stay locked in because this story is nowhere near finished. T.I. reportedly has that album coming, and if the diss tracks are any indication of the energy on that project, it's going to be a problem. And if 50 Cent does eventually step into the booth, genuinely, not for a TV show promo, that response could be one of the most anticipated moments in modern hip-hop. So drop your thoughts in the comments right now. Who's winning this beef? T.I. or 50 Cent? Do you think 50 needs to drop a real diss track to save face? Or is he above it at this point? And the real question, did T.I.'s sons go too far by bringing up 50's mother? Because that's the line that can never be uncrossed. Make sure you like this video, hit subscribe, turn on notifications so you don't miss a single update, because the way this is escalating, something new could drop any day now. And we're going to be here covering every twist, every track, every post. I appreciate you for rocking with me through this whole breakdown. This one was heavy, this one was personal, and this one is far from over. I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe out there. And remember, in the age of the internet, every word you say lives forever. Every post is permanent. Every line you cross becomes the new flaw. And sometimes, the person who taught the world that there are no rules is the same person who suffers when the rules disappear. Peace.